in God, religion, but those who believe in consciousness. He says, it struck me that sentence, you are never off duty. Mark the words, you are never off the duty. That is, we always make a distinction in our everyday life of being on duty and being off duty. But if we think of it, particularly in the light of Mother's teaching, you understand this sentence in a better context. Because once you are committed, you commit yourself to this high spiritual ideal of change of nature, total surrender to the divine, aspiring to awaken the psychic and be governed in daily life by the psychic being, you just can't afford to be off duty. Off duty and on duty means when you are on duty, you are supposed to be alert, watchful, accepting things that are favorable, rejecting those that are pernicious, and utilizing every moment, every movement for your growth. And off duty is you are relaxed, as they say, and don't care. Now this don't care attitude is the very reverse of what is expected of an earnest seeker. Because once we are centrally yoked to a divine goal, there is no respite, there is no holiday from it. Holiday is to turn back, or in the graphic phrase of Mother, it is sinking into tamas. All that you have gained in moments of discipline, awareness, you just let loose. It is absorbed, swallowed up by the tamasic elements. So if one is serious, one remembers that there is only a limited time available. Even a full span of life, as normally calculated, is not enough. Within that, if we have off hours, we lose so much of time. Not only that, what is done is undone. So you have to be alert, vigilant, all the 24 hours. That is where what is said that Sri Aurobindo's yoga is the most easy as well as the most difficult. Most difficult in the sense that you meet challenges every moment of your life. You are not allowed to rest and rust. New circumstances spring up as a matter of routine. And if you are on the spiritual path, there are interested elements in the atmosphere who try to delay, to derail, to checkmate your progress. So all the while there is a battery of suggestions in the mind, all kinds of thoughts. They leave different types of impressions. In the emotional being, a mixture of all types of movements, self-contradictory many times, strenuous, and in the abdominal region, the nervous zone, there are again many movements. When you are aware or not aware, from the universal atmosphere, they go on pouring in. And even when we are not aware, they register themselves and surge up during sleep, during meditations, when you least expect them. And then there is the body, which goes on absorbing and registering impulses in the atmosphere, vibrations from those around you, suggestions of illness, suggestions of deficiency, suggestions of possible accidents, all these demoralizing, disabling, whether they are expressed or not, if they are in the surrounding atmosphere, the body goes on absorbing. That's what Mother said in her last days, that she could manage her physical being, but there was a constant battery of suggestions in the surroundings of age, of possible death, and that she found it very difficult to keep out. So, we have to be vigilant, alert, but to be vigilant, to be alert does not mean you have to be tense. You have to have a kind of tension. There is a spiritual way of being watchful, of being vigilant without being tense. And how do you do it? First is to have a deep aspiration in yourself that I am given to the divine, I am given to the divine service. Nothing negative should enter into me. Nothing should respond to negative movements in the atmosphere. Once you have that central will, sankalpa as they say in Sanskrit, to so organize your daily life that it is in conformity with this pattern, and if you are sincere, if you pray for the higher will to help you in the enterprise, an automatic defense system is built up in your system. A defense mechanism is built up. it automatically rejects. But you are watchful. Here also, it is possible to cultivate one part in you which is watchful, while all the other parts are engaged in their respective works. And that watchful moment is when you cultivate a witness position, now and then. And the key to this is Mother's mantra, step back. Every now and then, for a second, if you can step back, automatically the witness consciousness begins to fall. And in fullness of time, there is a bifurcation of consciousness by which the frontal part goes on doing its active routine work, but there is an enlightened part which goes on observing, which goes on guiding, warning. You don't need to be tense there. In fact, the witness moment is more effective when you are not tense, when you are trustfully relaxed. Relaxed not in the usual material sense, but in the psychological sense. You don't have a sense of struggle, a sense of danger, a sense of what Mother calls pervasion by the catastrophic mind. Each one of us has something of this catastrophic mind. And a catastrophic mind is that mind which always anticipates, apprehends catastrophes round the corner. Not only for oneself, but for those whom one loves, for those whom one cares. The moment a person tells you, I am going, well, instead of invoking God's blessings on that person, you begin to think. So a rickshaw may strike him there, he may slip and fall there, and you weave in advance a formation attracting accidents. Now this is what Mother calls catastrophic mind. It is there embedded in the most physical layers, nearer the inconscient. And it is part of yoga to neutralize the suggestions of the catastrophic mind. And you can neutralize it not by making reverse suggestions at every step, but by developing a complete trust in the divine. If you have a trust which is more than faith in the divine, say in the Mother, the catastrophic mind simply does not peep in, because you have confidence that Mother's protection is there, and that is enough. So, to deal with these negative moments, you do not have to summon the reverse suggestions, but take the sovereign remedy of trusting to the divine protection. The more your trust is strong and sincere and complete, the less opportunity for fear and apprehension to damage your prospects. That is why Sri Aurobindo observes somewhere that fear shows a lack of trust somewhere. Somewhere, you may not be conscious. It may not be on the mental level. But somewhere, the trust is not there. Something may happen. What to do? Now that thing shows that your trust in the divine is not complete. So it is in these in, in the light of these observations, you will see that it is a full-time job to do this sadhana. You can't take off. If you take off, it means you are letting go your opportunity and letting yourself be occupied by the adverse elements. So whether the Tibetan leader meant all this or not, as I was thinking about it, I said it is true in a more complete sense than he perhaps intended. We can't take off. We have to be always on the job, always alert. But the art of being alert without being tense, art of being open without being fearful. That is possible because each one of us is a multiple being. There are parts which are inner and there are parts which are outer. The inner, we must be conscious of the inner parts, and to become conscious of the inner parts is the purpose of meditation, concentration. That is the time when we get a continuous period, say of about half an hour, of letting what Sri Aurobindo calls leaving the life's cherished guests outside. And you become conscious. You give an opportunity to the spirit to sit alone and speak to its gulfs. And every period of meditation must take us at least 1 inch deeper, a little deeper, and we must hook ourselves to something inside during meditational periods. And this can be done by having regular periods of meditation, preparing for meditation. You can't just sit for meditation out of violent activity of the mind or the body, but you have to prepare. Gradually slow down, slowly gather the mental faculties, and then sit. And then sit in the proper asana. Asana is the right physical posture when you can forget your body for a while. And what is more important than a physical asana is a mental asana. A mental asana is the right attitude of tranquility, of opening to peace, and a closed door to all weakening suggestions and movements. That attitude which keeps you in tune with the deeper or the higher vibrations of the divine, that is the mental asana. Physical posture is the physical asana. Mental attitudes, that is the mental asana. Both are necessary. With this background, I suppose we could meditate for a while and open our eyes should the lights come. It is still 10 minutes to 7. If the lights come, we can still do for about 15-20 minutes.